Today for our read aloud, we're going to read Oh No, George. And the author and illustrator of this book is Chris Haughton. We've been reading a lot of books by Chris Haughton lately. We've read Little Owl Lost and Shh, We Have a Plan. And today we're reading Oh No, George again. This is the second time we're reading it, so we're going to focus on some big kid words that we might hear in the story. The first big kid word is disappointed. When we're disappointed, we feel bad and sad because we thought something would happen and it didn't. So this little boy here, he feels disappointed because he had ice cream and he thought he was gonna eat it and he was gonna be so happy enjoying his ice cream, but it fell on the floor. So he thought he was going to have ice cream, but that didn't happen because it fell. So now he feels disappointed. We're also going to hear about a character who's feeling regretful. When we're regretful, we did something that we shouldn't have, and then we feel really bad about it, and we wished that we had done better. We might make a bad choice or a wrong choice, and then afterward we feel regretful. We wish we could have done something better. This guy feels regretful. And finally, one of the characters in the story feels apologetic. When we're apologetic, we want to say, I'm so sorry. In this picture, one little girl is crying because the other girl in the red shirt hurt her feelings. The girl in the red shirt is coming over to say, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. When we're apologetic, we want to say we're sorry for something we did. Apologetic. All right, let's read. The title or name of the book is Oh No, George. Harris is going out. Will you be good, George? Asks Harris.
Yes, says George. I'll be very good. I hope I'll be good,
George thinks. George sees something in the kitchen. It's cake.
I said I'd be good,
George thinks.
but I love cake.
What will George do? Oh no, George. What has George seen now? It's Cat.
I said I'd be good,
George thinks.
but I love to play with Cat.
What will George do? Oh no, George. What has George seen now? Some lovely soil. Soil is dirt.
I said I'd be good,
George thinks.
but I love to dig soil.
What will George do? Oh no, George. Harris is back.
Hello, Harris. Great to see you.
George, what have you done? You've ruined the place. And how on earth did you eat a whole cake? So I'm thinking about how Harris feels here. He thought that George would be good. At the very beginning of the book, George promised Harris that he would be good while Harris was out. So Harris thought when he opened the door that his house would be perfect because George had promised to be good. But instead, when Harris opens the door, the house is a disaster. So Harris must feel disappointed. He thought that George would be good, but George wasn't good. So Harris expected something that didn't happen. So he must be disappointed.
I said I'd be good,
George thinks.
I hoped I'd be good, but I wasn't.
Look, George is crying. George really, really wanted to make good choices, but then he didn't. He made bad choices and he ate Harris's whole cake, and he wrecked Harris's house by running after Cat, and he even dug up soil and made a huge mess. So I think that George is feeling regretful. He made some wrong choices and he wishes that he had made the right choices. He feels regretful about making those bad choices and disappointing Harris. What will George do?
I'm sorry,
George says.
I want to give you my favorite toy.
So here, George realizes he did something bad, and he feels regretful about it. He wishes he had done differently. But he did make a bad choice, and he wrecked Harris's house. So George wants to say, I'm so sorry. He even gives him his favorite toy. Here, I think that George feels apologetic. He wants to say, I'm sorry to Harris because he knows he made the wrong choice. Thank you, George, says Harris. Why don't we go out for a nice walk? So I think Harris feels better. He was happy that George apologized. Great! George loves to go out. There are so many things to see and do. Uh-oh, George has seen a cake. Will he eat it? No, George goes straight past. Well done, George. George sees some lovely soil. Will he have a little dig? No. Well done, George. George doesn't even try to chase Cat. Even Cat is a bit surprised. Something smells very interesting. What can it be? It's a trash can. There's nothing George likes more than digging in trash. What will George do? George? The end. So let's talk about the big kid words we heard in this story. There's a point in this story when a character feels disappointed. A character opens the door and thinks he's going to see one thing that's totally great, and instead, when he opens the door, he sees another thing that's a total disaster, something that makes him really sad and disappointed. Can you guys say what character is disappointed in this story? And why is that character disappointed? What did that character think was going to happen? And then what actually happened that was a bad thing? Which character is disappointed? Which character in this story is regretful? Regretful is when we realize we made a bad choice or a wrong choice and we wished we had done something differently. In this story, there's a character who says he's going to do one thing and then makes a lot of bad choices. After he makes those bad choices, he feels sad and regretful. He wishes he had made the right choices instead. Which character feels regretful? And why does he feel regretful? And last, which character in this story feels apologetic? Apologetic is how we feel when we want to say, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. Which character in this story feels apologetic? Which character knows they did something wrong and wants to tell somebody else that they feel very sorry for what they did? Which character feels apologetic, and why do they feel apologetic? Great work! That's Oh No, George by Chris Houghton.